All right, some technical difficulties, but we can all see the screen, the whole screen. All right,
Yep.
let's go
Yep.
ahead and let's restart the recording. We're going to do stock picker this morning. And I have got Jarrett here who's going to help me out. And Jarrett, you talked a little bit about fork, but just for the recording one more time, tell me a little bit about what happens when I click this fork button and I try to fork it into my personal account. What will happen?
Yeah, when you fork it, it will create a copy of the repository in your own account.
Yeah, pretty much. So right now, the stock picker lives at my Platoon. And the idea here is like, let's pretend that I'm working on some big project at my company. Let's say I'm working on like the Venmo credit card project, and I don't want to mess with the original one. Like let's say I have like the repo called Venmo credit card. I don't want to mess with the original one because everyone's pulling from this, everyone's pushing to this. This is like the one source of truth. So what a lot of people do is they make a photocopy and they fork it over from where it currently lives, the master area of Mike Platoon's stock picker, and I'm going to pull it into jyoung217 stock picker. You can kind of see the URL did change right up here. It's making a cute little graphic here of I'm actually making a photocopy. And now I've got a photocopy of stock picker. It's just basically a duplicate. And from here, I'm going to run through a series of commands basically to bring this down into my from github.com on the internet onto my local machine. Jarrett, tell me what to do with that.
So you will, once you're in your account, you will take the code button
Yep.
and copy the URL for your repository to
Yep.
to your local
I'm
machine.
gonna hit this code button, this green button over here. I'm gonna clone it down using the HTTPS protocol, pulling it down from the web onto my machine. I've got VS Code all loaded up over here. Let's see, let me change over to my desktop. That's because I like to see things. A lot of people put things at their root directory like this, and that's totally okay as well. I'm gonna make a directory called code. Oh, it already exists. Let me list out everything. Let me cd into code. And what is the command to clone or download a repo from the internet onto my machine?
So git clone and then the URL that you copied.
So git clone. So anytime we run a git command, we're going to prepend it with the word git. That's how we know that it's a git command. We're going to git clone from this particular website and pull it down onto my machine. Now, if I list out using ls on everything, you'll see that I have got a whole bunch of challenges that I've worked on last week and this week. So let me change directory into stock picker. What's the command to change directory?
CD.
cd and then stock picker. One cool thing, you can just type in S over here and you can just hit tab and it'll autocomplete. The reason why that happens is when you hit tab a bunch of times, they're going to try to autocomplete for you. And since I see that stock picker is the only folder that starts with an S, I can just start with S, press tab, and then it'll go all the way through. One more time, cd space S, press tab, and it'll autocomplete just a few keystrokes less so that you don't have to type as much. We are very, very lazy people. All right, so I want to open this I want to open this whole folder within my VS Code that's open right now. So I'm going to do code space -r space dot for right here. Using VS Code, I want to restart this window and load up everything within this current folder. And in the case that my screen ever like shrinks again and then people can't see anything, please let me know. James, I see that you raised your hand. You got a question for me.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask about the fork. When you fork a repo, makes a copy of that repo, but in your example, if you fork, you're working on your company credit card project or something, and you fork that repo to your local machine,
Yep.
what if updates are done on the master repo? How does the fork that you made, does that have any way of staying in sync with, or do you have to refork it and know that it changed over time?
Okay, so I'm gonna put this over here because it's a great question. I'm gonna get to that right after when we start pushing and stuff. We'll see something called a merge conflict and everything like that. All right, so I'm just gonna keep this up here. This is James's question. James, if once you're finished, you can go ahead and put your hand down so that I know where people are. All right, let's talk about this. So we've got our stock picker over here. We read through everything, and Jarrett, let's work through this together. How did you let's say that I give you a new one so that you know automatically this is 1 and 4 because it tells me that. But what if I give you a new example of, let's get rid of this and tell me what the result of this particular version of the algorithm would be.
Would be, so let me do my counting, 0, 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7.
6 and 7?
Mhm.
Okay, so we have, you said that this would return 6 and 7. Let's take a look through that. All right, so you're saying that number 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. So you're saying the difference between 1 and 10, buying at 1 and selling at 10 would give me the largest result.
Yep.
Yep, cool. All right, so again, it's one of those things where it's like, I know how to do it in my head, but I have absolutely no idea how to code it. My brain made like very, very quick jumps from like, okay, I know it's not going to be 17 because that's the biggest one. And I just know that based off of looking at the other numbers. But it's like you're able to see in 3D. Imagine someone was only able to see in 2D. So knowing that your computer is very, very fast, but very, very stupid, walk me through the steps that your brain took to get from here's the problem into 6 and 7, because you solved that in a second or two.
Yeah, I had to draw a lot of pictures on this one to kind of work out the logic. But essentially what I started with was, in my initial case, at the very first day, if I just bought and sold on the same day, I would start with a profit of 0.
Okay.
And then from there, I only care if my profit increases from there or if the minimum value changes.
Okay.
So,
right, so I'm hearing you say a lot of things, and I just want to keep track of those things because I think we're going to use it in our pseudocode a little bit later. So you said you need to keep track of, these are just notes that I'm going to keep for myself. So you're saying that I need to, I don't know, keep track of profit. What else do I need to keep track of? I need to keep track of profit. I need to keep track of lowest price. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Keep talking me through this.
Yeah, and so if we assume that we buy and sell on the first day, just keeping track of your buy and sell day as well.
All right, we need to keep track of buy and sell days. All right. So you're saying you have to keep track of these numbers over here.
Yeah, for what you'll eventually output at the end.
Cool. All right. So when we keep track of these buy and sell days, do you care much about like buy and sell days that are not like where the profit is lower than the current profit that you have? Like,
No.
so for instance, like 17, and if you buy and sell on the same day, then you make a profit of 0.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, if you buy and then you sell, you have a profit of negative $14. Do you even care about those particular indices?
No, yeah, you wouldn't store the buy and sell days in there.
So in this case, I'm going to keep track of the buy and sell day pair where profit is the largest.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I need to keep track of 3 things. I need to keep track of the current amount of profit. So if I buy and sell on the same day, it's going to be 0. If I buy and sell on like this day, the current profit is going to be negative 14. I have to keep track of lowest price. I need to keep track of the buy and sell pair of days where the profit's the largest. What else did you think of when you were solving this problem?
I was also keeping track of the index for that lowest price too, as I was going along.
Okay, so I need to keep track of the profit, the lowest price index, since you're iterating, you're basically going to iterate over the array of prices and the buy sell. What else?
I believe that's it as far as variables.
Cool. All right, so you have 4 things here. You've got profit, you've got lowest price index, and the buy sell pair of days. Okay, cool. So walk me through again. Does this make sense to you? It makes sense to me because it's the same like amount of variables that I've got. But I'm sure for somebody else they didn't keep track of all of this. Walk me through how I'm going to use each one of these variables to get to this particular result.
Okay. So when you're starting on the first day, like I mentioned, you're assuming that you could buy and sell on the same day at the beginning, and so you'd start with a profit of 0.
Okay.
And then from there, it would only be relevant to buy more if the price went down.
Okay.
So you start keeping track of your minimum from that day 0.
All right.
And then we, sorry, so as you increase through there, or as you iterate through the array, you should check the profit at each element in the array from that new minimum that you set.
Mhm.
And so you only want to keep track of the points when, as you iterate through the array, that your profit increased.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So you're saying I'm going to iterate over every single number. That's fine. So I've got 17 over here. And if I buy and sell on the same day, so let's say that I have to keep track of this number, this index, which is 0. And if I buy and sell on the same day, it's going to be $0. If I buy and sell from day 0 to day 1, or index 0 to index 1, it's going to give me a profit of -14. I can throw that away because if I buy and sell on the same day, it's still a higher profit than -14. And I'm just going to basically repeat that through every single one over here. And what you'll find once you get through the very first round, if you buy on day 0 or the first index or day 1 over here, you're going to end up with a negative profit all around. So we're going to just keep that. And then the next day, if we bought on day number 2, which is number 3 here, and we basically kept going, we said we buy on day 2 and we sell on day 3, we make a profit of 3. So that's larger than buying and selling on the same day of 17 and 17. And I just kind of keep continuing going over that. All right, that makes sense to me. I like that thought process. Let me grab this. I'm going to jump over to this Python repo over here and jump into the stock picker. And before we do anything, we're going to write some very detailed pseudocode at the very top. So this is a little bit of what we needed a little bit above. So I'm just going to kind of get us started here. I like to start with very, very small, easy wins to make myself feel better. So first things first, number 1, create a method called picker that takes in an argument called prices. Great, we're already done. Step 1, finished. All right, number 2. You said I need to keep track of lowest price, profit, lowest price index, and the buy-sell pair where the profit is the largest. So I need to create all of those variables at the very top. So I'm going to create a variable called lowest price and set it to none at the very beginning because you don't have a current profit or a price, and you don't have any of these variables yet. You just need them at the very beginning. Set it to none because we are comparing each price in prices against lowest price. All right, number 3, you said we need to create a variable called lowest price index. That's this thing over here. And set it to none because you don't know where the lowest price is going to be. Hence, number 2, lowest price is set to none. Therefore, you don't know what lowest price index is yet. Emma, you have a question.
Yes, in JavaScript, you can just declare variables and leave them empty. Is this the best practice when declaring a variable in Python that you don't know what it will be yet? I've been just setting it to 0, but I was wondering about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So in JavaScript, just to reiterate, I can say things like, what is, oh gosh, let profit, and just go like that. And that's totally okay. This automatically sets profit equal to none or null inside of JavaScript. Inside of Python, we want to be more explicit, so we will need to set it to none. But I can also translate this straight into Python to JavaScript after we're done here. Cool. All right. So we're going to create a method called picker. It's going to take an argument called prices. We're going to create a variable called lowest price. We don't know what it is. Yes, we're going to set it to none. We're going to create a variable called lowest price. We're going to set it to none because we don't know what lowest price is based off of number 2. Let's jump over to step number 4. We need to create 2 more things. One of them is profit. All right. I don't think we can calculate profit yet. I think we need to start like iterating over this to keep track of that. But we should be able to keep track of like the lowest price indices, which is like the buy sell day pairs where like the profit's gonna be the largest. So I'm gonna create a variable called largest profit indices, and set it to that because you don't have anything. You don't have it yet. And then number 5, we said profit. We'll just keep track of profit. Create a variable called largest profit and set it to 0 because there is no profit at the start of your algorithm. Cool. This is pretty simple just to like start writing all of this out. So I could just start coding here, but I'm just going to keep going with this pseudocode. All right, so Jared told me a little bit earlier that I need to loop over the prices and save each price as price and each index of the price, each index as index. Okay. All right, now here's the meat of the algorithm. So we've declared everything that Jared talked about. He says we want to create a method, we want to create a variable called lowest price, we need to keep track of lowest price index, we need to keep track of the buy and sell days, we need to keep track of the profit. Now we're going to loop over the prices, save each price as price and each index as index. And just so that we have this nearby, I'm going to take this, I'm going to throw this at the very bottom of the screen. I'm going to change both of these stock pickers into just the word picker. I'm going to double click on stock picker. I'm going to press Command D to get multiple cursors because I see that it's there twice. So I only have to do it once. All right, so Jared, let's walk through the actual meat of this this algorithm here. So we've declared all the variables that you talked about, but there's like a magic inside the middle of the loop. Tell me what I need to do there.
So as we're iterating through, we want to get the index and the price for each element in the array.
Okay, so we have each price, we have each index. Now what do we do with those?
So at each element, we'll check and see if it's a new minimum or not.
Cool. All right, so we need to check if it's a new minimum. What if, using the variables that we've created, again, these are all the uppercase, all the capitalized things here. I'm going to compare price against, which one of my variables am I worried about?
Lowest price.
Okay, price, lowest price. Okay, compare price against lowest price. If price is less than lowest price, what do I do?
Your lowest price becomes price, or lowest price equals price.
Set lowest price equal to price. All right,
and
so let's think about that for a second. So we start at 17, that's the lowest price that we're worried about. And then we get to 3, but that's lower than 17. So now we've got a new lowest price to worry about, okay? All right, let's keep going.
And lowest price index equals index.
All right. What am I going to do next?
Next, you're going to check your profit at that price as well.
Okay.
So you'll check and see if your price is your price minus your lowest price is greater than profit.
Price minus lowest price is greater than profit.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
Then profit equals price minus lowest price.
Set profit equal to price minus lowest price.
And then set, let's see, where's our largest profit indices. To lowest profit or lowest price index and index.
All right. Anything else?
After iterating over the loop, return your lowest or largest profit indices.
Is that it? Let's find out. We're gonna write some code for just the tests over here and to do that, because I am lazy, I am going to steal someone's code from Mike Platoon. Pull requests. This first person, I'm going to just, oh no, that's just JavaScript. Let's try to take a JS stock picker, Tim C stock picker. Tim, did you do this in Python? Perfect. All right, I'm just going to steal this entire file by clicking this, click view file, and I'm just going to copy and paste. There's so many. I'm just going to click raw, select everything, copy, jump over, go instead set inside of stock picker spec, and paste it over here. All right, so we've got all of our code here, and let's start writing. So the idea here is I've spent, what, 20 minutes or so trying to write all this pseudocode out because I want to make sure that I have a roadmap of where to go before I actually jump into it. Otherwise, you're going to get really confused really fast. So let's take a look. Let's see how I wrote this pseudocode. I'm going to get rid of line number 1. And how I did that, just to get rid of the whole line at once, is I just clicked anywhere on the line, and I just did Command X or Control X just to cut the whole line. I know I'm not going to paste it, so it's just easier that way. So number 1, create a method called picker that takes in an argument called prices. What you'll notice is anything that involves some sort of code or variable names, I just more or less write it in all caps so that it stands out to me a little bit more. This is the method that works for me. If you find a different one that works for you, that's totally okay as well. So I've got a method called picker, it takes in an argument called prices, done. Create a variable called lowest price and set it equal to none, because we don't know really what lowest price is yet. So lowest price is equal to none. Number 3, create a variable called lowest price index and set it equal to none, because you don't know at the very beginning what the lowest price index is going to be. Create a variable called largest profit indices, and you set that equal to an empty array, because again, we're just setting up all the variables that we need to keep track of outside of the loop. And then finally, we're going to keep a variable called largest profit and set it equal to 0, because there's no profit at the very beginning. Next, it says loop over the prices and say each price is price and each index is index. I have no idea how to do that, so I'm just going to Google that one real quick. I'm going to go into Python, loop, keep track of value and index. Did someone ask this question before? Okay, it looks like careerkarma.com. Sure, why not? Enumerate, step-by-step guide. Well, there's all this write-up over here. Let's look over. Okay, so there's a Python enumerate. I'm just going to look at this code block. So it looks like if we use the enumerate method, we can keep track of both the index and the value. And we can, okay, I'm just going to copy this bit of code and just dump that over here to tackle number 6. So I'm going to loop over prices. And I'm going to keep track of each price as price and each index as index. I'm keeping track of the index, and we're just going to call this price. Now we're going to do the main meat of this over here. So compare price against lowest price. If price is less than lowest price, set current price equals price, and then lowest index into index, okay? So I'm just following the pseudocode steps that we've got here. If price is less than lowest price, then I'm going to say that lowest price is equal to price, and lowest price index is equal to index. All right, so and then now we're just jumping down to number 8. If price minus lowest price is greater than profit, we're going to set profit equal to price minus lowest price, and largest profit indices is equal to lowest price index and the current index. And then you said at the very end, all I got to do is return largest profit indices. And again, I'm just following the directions that we've got over here. Cool. So we've got our algorithm, we've got our pseudocode, we coded it out over here. And luckily, we've got our test cases. So we began with the end in mind. We decided to say, all right, so if I say picker and I pass in everything over here, I'm going to have 1 and 4. then if I pass in all of these prices, I should get 0 and 4. So no matter what happens inside of stockpicker.py, the second tab that I just clicked on, as long as I write the correct test cases over here, it should run correctly. All right, let's take a look. I'm going to do control and then the backtick, which is to the left of the number 1 key. I'm going to cd into the Python library, the Python folder, that's this over here. I'm just going to run, let's type in green, just so we get some nice colors. Stock picker underscore tab to fill this out. I ran 0 tests and 0. I'm sorry. All right, we ran 0 tests. That's bad. Somebody tell me what happened here. Why did this blow up? Help me out, Jarrett.
Do the methods need to start with the word test underscore?
Yep. All of these won't actually run because I need to put test in the front. Let's see if this runs now. Green stock picker. All right, and then now it runs. So again, whenever you're running unit tests inside of Python, you do need to start with the word. The name of your test must be pre-appended with test, otherwise it falls apart. Can people still hear me? Because one person is frozen and Jarrett is moving.
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we got 4 test cases that are all broken. Okay, let's read through the first thing that breaks. It looks like they're all broken on the exact same thing. All right, if price is less than lowest price, type error. Less than is not supported between instances of int and none type. And I believe these are like respective. So price looks like it's going to be an int, and lowest price is going to be a none. Let's go back to our code and think about this. So it blows up on this line over here. If price is less than lowest price, oh, it looks like the very first time that I run through it, price I have access to, but lowest price is going to be none. So do I just skip it if index is 0? Like, I don't know. Jarrett, how do I get around this?
Set lowest price equal to the first element of the array.
I could do lowest price as first element of the array. So you're saying that you're just going to do prices of 0?
Mm-hmm.
And
then you have to go through and change all of them to index to 0.
Yeah, I could do that. So you're saying that I could do prices of 0 and then lowest price is equal to 0 like this?
Yeah, and same thing on maybe not necessary, but same thing on the largest profit indices too, like just having a 0, 0.
Here's one more thing I could do. If lowest price is not none. And so this skips the first one. So if lowest price is none, this is also none. If I set lowest price equal to lowest price is none at the very beginning, and so the very first time that goes through, it fails at this first line over here. So what I'm going to do is just say if this is not none and price is less than the lowest price, meaning that I've actually run through the loop one more time, then this is where I'm going to start. Let's try this one more time. I'm going to do command and then control backtick to bring up this over here, and let's see what happens. Cool. All right, so I've got a different error now. It says unsupported operand type for int and none type. Where does this blow up? If price minus lowest price is greater than profit, it looks like price again is int and none type is lowest price. And that happens on this line over here.
It's the same issue as the previous example where you have a none type.
Okay. Let's see. How do I get around it then?
You do if lowest price, let's see, wait, what's price? Yeah, if lowest price is not none again.
All right, it's not none. Lowest price is price. Let me just compare your stuff against mine.
And we'll need to, profit needs to be largest profit or vice versa.
Which line?
So 23 and 24 have profit, but we declared it as largest profit in 16.
Okay, let's take a look at largest profit. Okay, actually, it looks like I'm repeating myself over here. It says I have this twice. So let me just say current profit is equal to price minus lowest price. And then I can just replace these two with current profit. Does this work?
We'll still have the lowest price, none problem in this one, unless we do if lowest price is not none before the current profit calculation.
Okay, so if,
Could you just, I'm
ahead.
sorry. Could you nest the two if statements so it doesn't run the second one until you have something in lowest price?
Yeah, that's possible. Let's take a look at this first if statement. So we're not actually going to get here unless unless lowest price is set. Okay, is if lowest price is not none. Actually, I think this is, yeah, I messed this one up. If not lowest price. Try this, and then I'll explain it. Yep. All right. All right. So I messed this one up a little bit earlier. This is the correct way of going about it. So basically, what's happening here, why we kept blowing up a little bit earlier, if I go all the way up to these things that were breaking, you couldn't compare if price is less than lowest price, because the lowest price we set to none at the very beginning, meaning that the very first time that you ran through this particular loop, this enumerate loop, lowest price was set to none, so you can't compare a number against none. And that's why I was blowing up. So we just added a check. If there is no lowest price, then if there's not a lowest price, then we actually have to set lowest price. So this is what we're doing. The lowest price is equal to the current price, which is the very first time. The lowest price index is going to be 0. Or if the price is less, and this is where Jared's algorithm starts coming into play. If the price that we have is less than the lowest price, then we're going to reset it as lowest price is equal to price, and then lowest price index is equal to index. So that's what this particular line is doing. This not lowest price over here is basically saying for the very first time that you're iterating through this loop, I want to keep track of lowest price as the first thing inside the loop and the lowest price index to actually equal 0. Cool.
Could you repeat that one more time, John?
Sure. So earlier we had I'm just going to go to the actual solution here. So earlier we had a bunch of errors. The first time we ran through, we had 4 errors because we had if price is less than lowest price. That's this step number 8 that we've got over here. The issue of what's happening there is the very first time you run through the prices array, let's say that it's like 13, 5, 2. Lowest price is set on line 13. It's set as none. So the very first time we iterate over the prices array, price is equal to 13 and index is equal to 0. What's happening there is you're going to say if 13 is less than none, because we set that the first time on line 13 over here. So what I need to do is I need to basically do a check against basically the edge case of the very first time that I run through this loop. If lowest price is not set, which is the very first time that this loop runs, then I want to set lowest price as the first price, which is going to be 13. And then lowest price index is going to equal to 0.
Thank you, John.
Yep. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this solution. Let me clean up a few things. I'd like to have a little bit more space so that it can breathe. This avoids multi-loops, which is kind of nice. And okay, so I've got my pseudocode at the very top. I've got my code down here at the bottom. I've got my spec file over here. I am good to start pushing this one up. Let's talk through how to do that. Let me clear the screen. And currently I'm on the master branch of my forked repo. I do want to get away from the habit of pushing on things onto the master branch. The master branch, oftentimes when you work at a company, is the branch that everyone's kind of like pulling and pushing from. So I want to make sure that I'm not actually on the original master branch. So I'm going to check out to a new one. And Jarrett, tell me what I need to do in order to check out to a new branch.
So you'll do git space checkout space -b space and then the name of the new branch.
All right, so I'm going to check out to a new branch called John's Solution for Mics. Let me, I know that James had a question about this, but I can tell that there are a few people who are just struggling through this particular flow. So let me push this one up first, and then we'll talk about James's question before we take a break. So before I was living on the master branch, and then now I need to check out a new branch called John's Solutions for Mics. And you might be wondering, why do I have to check out a branch if I've already forked over the repo? So let's talk about that. Let's say that we originally started with Mic Platoon stock picker. Right now, I don't want to mess with the original because in the event that you start working for like a company, you have a big project called like Venmo credit card. I don't want to mess with the original because that's where everything gets deployed from. That's the one source of truth. So I don't want to mess with the original one over here. So I make a photocopy. Now, the issue with is once I've made a photocopy, I have to work on different like projects. Like I have to work on different features within the Venmo credit card project world. I might need to work on, how do I calculate annual percent revenue, APR? Then I might need to work on like logging in and logging out. Then I might need to work on, split the bill with friends. Like there's all these different features within the realm of Venmo credit card that I need to work on. And if I'm working on the master branch the entire time, then I have to like always make sure that I like have to keep my master up to date with the original and everything like that. So this is the idea of these disposable branches off of GitHub. It's for each individual feature that you're working on. For right now, it's okay because if you want to work off master because we're just solving an algorithm and pushing it up. But if you wanted to check out a different branch for just Python or just for JavaScript, that would be an instance when you want to use multiple branches. So I've checked out a solution, something called John's Solution for Mics. That's not great. Let me check out. Let me go back to master. Let me check out a new branch called John's Solution Mics Python. So it's very, very specific of what I'm actually doing on this particular branch. So when I run git status again, I'm going to just check in these two files that I changed, stockpicker.py and stockpickerspec.py. I'm going to do git. Actually, Jarrett, tell me what I'm supposed to type here.
So I would do, for this one, I would do git add. I would do it just s star to get just the s files.
Star. So that's interesting. You said s star, and some people might be wondering what's going on there. So whenever we want to add stuff, we've made some changes. That's what shows up in red over here. We're going to do git add s and then star. S star works because stockpicker.py and stockpickerspec.py both start with the letter S. And nothing else that we change, nothing else that shows up in red is actually starts with an S. So I can just do that. Git status one more time. You'll see that I only added these two particular files. I'm going to write a little commit message, something descriptive. Solve this in Python. And then at this point, I'm going to push to my origin. This is where I downloaded it from, and then to the branch name. So git push basically uploads from your computer onto github.com. This makes it nice and easy for me. I can just follow the link by doing option click, or once I go back to stock picker here, it automatically detects that something has changed, and I can compare and make a pull request for Mic Platoon base master against jyoung217 for my particular branch called Python. Solve this in Python, create a pull request. Before there were 18 pull requests, and now there are 19. So when I click on this and I see all these pull requests here, you can see that this is from jyoung217. I solved this in Python on this particular branch. Now, last couple things before we take a break. Let's pretend that somebody decided to mess with the README a little bit. And that person is me. And now stock picker is out of date. So remember at the very beginning of this lecture, when I first started to fork it over, it just said stock picker, and now it says stock picker 1, 2, 3, 4. So the original thing has been updated, but it doesn't automatically, even if I do git checkout to master, and you'll see this change from John's solution, Mike's Python into master. You'll notice that when I click on this README over here, I still have stock picker and not stock picker 1, 2, 3, 4. So the question was, what if there's an update on the master repo that you forked from and you're now out of date? And this happens all the time because this continuously gets upgraded and updated. Like there's, like at my company, I think there's, I don't know, like 800, 900 pull requests at a time. And these are all things that people want to do to like update the system, update the code base. If this is out of date, which it almost 100% of the time is, you need to basically pull or download all of those changes from where this originated onto your machine. But if I run, and this is more advanced, so if you want to ignore this, that's fine. If I do git remote -v, where I pull and push from is from jyoung217. So I need to add this original by doing git remote add upstream and then this Mike Platoon. What this does is when I type in git remote -v again, when I type in git push origin, it actually pushes to jyoung. But if I want to do git push upstream, it's going to push to Mike Platoon instead. The way that I'm going to do this one, I think it's git pull upstream master branch, and that will pull. Oh, okay, let me. I have changes locally on README that will. Okay, let me just go all the way back to the original. There, so that's the original. Let me git pull upstream master, and you'll see that the README did change. There is one additional thing over there. Again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If this makes no sense, you don't have to actually know this until like week 12. What I did was I did git remote -v. This didn't exist yet, but what happens is when I pull down, when I clone, doing git clone, when I do git push origin master or git pull origin master, what happens is I'm pulling and pushing from this particular repo, this jyoung217 stockpicker.git. That's this one over here. This one is out of date. Once this is updated, these don't automatically sync up. It's your job to sync those up manually. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to add the upstream or another branch. I can literally call this poop if I want to. Git remote add poop. That, and if I do git remote -v again, I have poop and upstream and origin. You can name this whatever you want. The command is git remote add some descriptive name over here, and then where you want to pull and push from. So I'm going to do, when I wanted to pull them or download the most recent changes, I would do git pull upstream master. And that's what I ran right there to pull down all the changes from the original, which is Mike Platoon, into my particular, into my repo over here. All right, I'm pretty sure I lost 95% of you. And with that, it is 9:10. We've been talking for 55 minutes. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll be back at 9:15.